I've had the privilege of sitting down with some incredible ranchers over the years. People who built something from nothing, survived things that should have broken them, and came out on the other side with something worth passing down. At the same time, I also visit with ranchers weekly who are struggling, whether in a startup business or trying to turn around a failing one. They're tired and frustrated, and they're wondering if they're on the right track. That's what this show is about. I'm John Haskell, the host of Ranchonomics, the podcast dedicated to helping ranchers win at business. Ranchonomics Stories is where we go deeper with longer conversations that describe the journey behind the success we see today, the hard years, the turning points, and the lessons that only come from living it. I want these stories to inspire us to keep going even when it's hard, to remind us that success really is possible, to drown out the voices that say it can't be done, and to reinforce our resolve to keep going until we win. Welcome to Ranchonomics Stories. Welcome to the Ranchonomics Podcast Stories episodes. I am here today with Mandy and Kevin Wiltse from Kansas, and I am very excited to have you guys here. How are you?
We are good.
Doing great. Great to be here.
Yes.
Very good. These two farm down in Kansas. Mandy is also a member of our team, and so this is kind of a special episode because if you've met Mandy over the phone or over a Zoom call, it's going to be a good time to get to know her a little better. Kevin and Mandy, why don't you guys give us a little bit of introduction to yourselves, and then let's jump in, and I'd really like to hear your story because it's a fun one.
Okay, I'm Kevin Wiltse. We're West Central Kansas. I'm a fifth generation here, so lived here my whole life and worked. Well, we went to K-State, so as soon as we graduated from K-State, came back here to start farming with my dad at the time was still alive. So,
And I'm Mandy. I grew up in Topeka and met Kevin at K-State and moved out here right after I graduated and basically jumped into farming and ranching. And then I've got a degree in accounting. So I've been doing that on the side ever since. Worked at a public accounting firm and then a bunch of private businesses and taught at the college, and then lucky enough to get hooked up with Ranchright because this is now the dream job as far as doing what I love with ag and ranch clients. So as far as, the accounting work and financial statements, and that I get to be involved in that world along with our personal world. So
excellent. Well, we're very glad to have you. Let's jump in. So Mandy, you've told this story a couple of times and I absolutely love it, but we may need to start before there, but coming home from college and moving out to the farm, tell us about the beginning.
Yeah. So, I'm definitely a person that I always feel like I'm up for anything, okay, let's do this. Let's try this. And I was obviously thrilled to come back and get married to Kevin, was very excited. But then, you come back here and then you realize you start your life and you're like, oh, this is a lot of work. And I never see him. So that was quite an adjustment to get used to as far as just being together. Normally like the whole dating world, you're together all the time. But then you move into the married world and it's like, okay, this is real life now. And so that was a real adjustment for me. I did not grow up in a farming and ranching world at all. And so all I had was just from when we were dating, I would come out here and it was, we would work cattle and I'd go like riding the tractor with them and, but once you get to the real world, it's like, okay, this is how it's going to work. But that first year, I remember we lost our wheat crop and I was devastated. I was traveling, I remember, and I had called back and I was talking to his mom, so my mother-in-law. And I was about in tears because I was like, what are we going to do? Like, where's the money going to come from? I just didn't even know. And she was so sweet. She was like, oh, Mandy, she's like, this is nothing. You'll be just fine. This happens from time to time. And I'm like, what?
The honeymoon is ending abruptly here. Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. So anyway, I just really remember that. And she was, obviously all of her years and wisdom and guidance at the time. And she and both Ken, who's gone now, but they've just been a huge inspiration for us and a guiding force and just people that have all kinds of experience and in history that they understand like, hey, these things just come and go and you just roll with it. But that was my first year experience. And looking back, I was like, oh boy, I was probably going through either a state of shock or, maybe a little depressed for about a year. But no, ever since then, I just can't imagine myself anywhere else.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very good. So let's talk about how you started. So Kevin, you always intended to come back, or how did that work when you left for K-State?
I don't know if we were always probably knew that I always would, but
But you had other options too.
I
So.
had other options, but just, I don't know, I guess, it is. It's just in your blood, if you want to say that, or just some people are just went for it. So I came back. Mandy was 2 years behind me in college, so I came back in 95, I guess, and started with my dad. My grandfather passed in 91, so at the time, mom and dad, they'd owned a meat processing plant and farm and ranch, and
Wow.
they'd sold the meat processing plant a couple years after I went to college. So there was a fit for me here, as far as size of operation, and then we grew it quite a bit through the years. So we grew it to the point of, I don't know how many thousand acres, and hiring another employee, and then dad had passed away in spring of 18. He started getting some health conditions in spring of 2017, so it was pretty limited, and so then, I don't know, that's really, it's evolved a lot since, he's been gone too, and we still have one full-time employee, but yeah.
Yeah, I know, looking back, I mean, I can remember him in college, like you had other offers, and it was a big decision to go, do I go one direction and away from the farm for a while, or or back to the farm? And so, this was meant to be, obviously.
Yeah. And I was fortunate Dad was willing to change and learn too. So, I mean, that was 95. I came back to the farm, and you were just starting to hear about like no-till systems. And so Dad and I went on a bus tour to Dakota Lakes in South Dakota, and was, Dwayne Beck, and fortunate enough that he went along with me, and that was in 97, I think. So I was fortunate he went along because he saw all that. And then we just, so he was willing to change and make that whole shift in our operation. So
that was a big blessing, just because it created quite the conversations, and then obviously the change on the farm. But that doesn't happen all the time.
Correct. That's definitely not the majority case.
Yeah. And they were learning together, honestly. And they were able to like bounce ideas off of each other and try stuff out. And Ken was great that way. He had lots of questions, and he's a real thinker as far as how a process would look down the road. So I just thought that was a big blessing that you guys had each other to work through the new system that they were trying.
I'm fortunate to have the generation ahead of you that's willing to change, so I mean, that's a big deal.
Huge blessing. Yeah. What were the factors that led you and your dad to feel that you did need to change? What was going on in the late 90s, mid to late 90s there that was driving that?
I don't know if there really wasn't any. It was something different, and I guess the opportunity to do more, and earn more money, quite frankly, because at the time it was, we were, of course, Freedom to Farm Bill had just come out, those years. And though at the time we were wheat fallow weed here, and then a few people did a little bit of sorghum fallow. And so things were really changing on that front. So instead of getting 2 crops in 3 years, now all of a sudden with no-till, we could take a cash crop every year. That was the thought. We'd save enough moisture to do that. So that was the initially.
Yeah. So it wasn't a situation where your back was up against the wall or anything. You were both just interested in, how do we do this better?
Yeah. How can we get better? Yeah.
That's an even more unique situation, I would say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a lifelong thing too, because I can't remember what you said right there at the beginning, where you were just like something to change or something different to look at. Just a little tidbit into Kevin's brain is that he likes to learn, and he's got an engineering brain and tries to figure it out, but that's such a big piece of it, is to continuously be learning. I mean, and he's opened my eyes to all these different kind of methods that can be done, and people that have done them, and books and podcasts. And so it's a constant process that way, where you're learning. And you have to be open to that too, because sometimes you start learning about something and you think that's the way to go. And then you hear somebody else's viewpoint or what they've experienced, and you're like, oh, wait a second. Yeah, we actually might need to change it even a little bit more. So it just keeps going. You just never want to stop learning. And yeah, Kevin, he's always reading, listening.
Yeah, I'm not scared of change. I'm more scared of not doing something different because I mean, I always want to do better and learn new things. So for me, change is, I don't know, I'd quit farming if I was still doing it the way we were. I want to continuously find new ways to do it better. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it's interesting the two of you are that way because Mandy, you're a continuous learner. Like you're a lifelong learner. That's something I love. I'm the same way as you, Kevin. If I had to do the same thing every year over and over again, and we had these discussions about, are we going to run a cow herd the same way 2 years in a row? Like, probably not. Sorry.
Yeah. And like you say, where you're continuously learning, and just even at Ranch right now, we've got this younger crew on here. I'm learning from the younger crew. Like they take a lot of this technology stuff and run with it. And it's like, I'm learning from that even. So it's just, yeah, you want to do that in all aspects of your life, I think.
Yeah. What a great family trait, right? When you think about that. Ranch Right exists for one simple reason. Better numbers lead to better decisions. We work with producers on cash flow, debt management, enterprise analysis, risk management, and long-term financial strategy so the business stays resilient no matter the market. If you want to see whether that's the right fit for your operation, book a discovery call at ranchritellc.com. So you started alternating crops, I guess. This would have been is this late 90s, early 2000s now?
Yeah, so late 90s, we switched our whole farm operation to 100% no-till system. Sold all the tillage equipment, ordered a set of no-till drills like the next day or week after we came back from South Dakota. Like it was that mind-blowing to Dad and I, like, this is what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. So we had an idea what we needed to do, but then it didn't take very long to figure out that really wasn't the answer either. Like, so you continually evolve. So we started adding cover crops and had some train wrecks with that. And then I don't know, cattle, and to be honest with you, when I first came back to the farm, like the livestock weren't really my cup of tea. Like Dad and Grandpa, they loved the cattle. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of times I would have walked away from that and just done crops, but just over time, like they were a lot smarter than I was, just saw more history, I guess. And had that knowledge, like that the livestock were a key component of it. And so that was, for me, a big realization. And then trying to change and build a system where, we got to have livestock integration, on our operations. So, and to continue that.
And you definitely have livestock integrated now.
Yeah, for sure. Now,
it's in spades.
We depend on it now. So,
right. And setting up, and now we're very intentional about setting up systems that now include that. And I'm sure, as we get down the road, but setting up all the fencing and the watering, I mean, that's been a process. And, but it sure has set up a good system to be able to expand and grow and even convert other pieces of ground where we can use it for livestock.
Right. Cool. All right. What year did you guys get married?
97.
Okay, so I mean, all of this is happening at the same time, basically, and there's a big drought right at the beginning.
Yeah, there's always a big drought.
Yeah. Oh, come on, only 2 out of 3 years where you were. Right? When did kids start coming?
2000, 2002, and 2005. 3 kids. So.
Yes. Yep. Then it got busy.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep going. Where did we evolve to next?
Well, Mandy, she actually worked and at the college, and then after a few years, stayed home with the kids.
Yes.
So made that decision to stay home with the kids. So
which was a huge blessing.
Which also. It's a it's a blessing, but then it also puts more financial strain.
Yep.
On
the farm.
On the farm.
Yeah.
So
but you probably had really good books on the farm, right?
Yeah. Right. But it does, as I'm sure lots of farmers and ranchers know, you can cover up things by supplementing the farm with outside income. And so when that goes away, I mean, it pretty much went away. I did a little bit of part-time work, but that was about it for a few years. But yeah, it really forced us to look at the financial side of the farm. And yeah, and I know it, I mean, Kevin, he looked hard as far as what to do in order to truly make it profitable going forward. And that's, I don't know, wait, how many different, yeah, I don't know. Like we've done a lot of stuff. And then even, I mean, we've integrated lots of things as far as livestock and then alfalfa and diversified that way. And I don't know what else. I don't know. Feels like a lot of years there that it's like, well, we just did whatever we needed to do each
It's
year.
funny as you look back and see that, isn't it? Yeah.
And yet we had a rural system of where, as time went on, we just decided we really wanted to go down this path of trying to get more livestock on there and have a more natural path, or I'm not sure what word to use there, but the grains part got fresher.
Yeah, we really, like we talked about 11, 12, and 13, those years, the grain farming,
it's similar to right now.
Yeah,
that's what it is. So,
you could just see it then, or like for us, you can kind of see what's going on in the future. Like machinery cost inputs continually go up and up and up, and the farmer's return on the dollar is very minuscule compared to what big ag gets. We funnel tons of money into our operation, but you don't get to keep very much of it. It all goes somewhere else. So it's how do you keep that? How do you make that bigger? Like how do you get a bigger piece of that pie, and how do you keep more of it? So that's kind of been since we went to ranching for profit. Then my dad passed away kind of about that same time, and we just really became more focused on building a system that's more resilient, more profitable, and takes away a lot of the market swings and drought. Helps us
drought
withstand
plans.
drought better. And so that's kind of where we've been on since that journey since then to where we are today. So
it just felt so much more natural in order to and Kevin says a lot as far as working with nature to make it happen rather than fighting it all the time.
And that's really the foundation of getting your costs down, right? Is not trying to push everything uphill.
Yeah, it's like annual cropping. It's just a continual fight. So how can we work more with nature? And then as a result of that, your costs go down.
Yeah, the stress goes down too. But it's sometimes stressful.
Sometimes.
It depends if it rains or not, right? If it's
one
of those 2 out of 3 drought years, maybe not so bad.
But you feel so much more positive about doing something that is more natural, that was on the original landscape as far as what's growing out there, what's eating off of there, and that you could turn around and have, customers or that were eating that same thing. It just, you feel better doing that work than growing crops for the government. It's really what it comes down to.
Right, right. Okay, and your region, are you guys tall grass prairie or are you kind of mixed grass?
So we're kind of mixed.
Okay.
Predominantly warm season grasses in this country. We do have cool season stuff. But it's kind of a mix. So we have a lot of tall grasses, but then we do have some short grass. Depends on the year too. So.
Yeah, right. But you get some cool season moisture and are able to grow some of those shorter species.
Yeah. On some of the cropland, we tried like cool season perennial pastures, and we tried Kernza as a monoculture. We tried, and then another perennial cool season pasture. Both of those didn't really work very well, mostly because there's a lot of reasons, but just not a lot of diversity. What we found. So last year we seeded another cool season perennial pasture. We had tons of diversity in it. So my hope is that will be able to withstand some of our drought better, because the cool seasons in our country, they just don't like our hot weather, and we don't get enough moisture to offset it. So we don't have irrigation. So
right. And to be clear, you get a lot of heat in the summer. I mean, when it gets hot in Kansas, it's hot.
Yeah. It gets hot longer. That's the big thing. So I always tell people it gets hot in North Dakota like it gets cold in Kansas. We both get the same extremes, but it's just colder, less, and hotter longer. So, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. So I imagine you get a pretty good slump of those cool seasons in the summertime.
Yeah, the cool seasons pretty much just shut off in the summer. And even the warm seasons, when you get to late August, your quality starts to really drop off too. And that's where the cover crops have really helped fill in.
You can bridge a lot of those little gaps
we can have if it rains, we can have high quality forage in those gaps. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Very good.
So
very good. And you bounce back so fast, even through droughts. I mean, then you get a rain, they just bounce back so much faster. And
yeah, that's neat. So, all right, we got a little out of our chronology here. I'd like to be a little, have some chronology to this. So I'd love to get a picture of what did you guys try? So, you said you started with the 2-crop system from the 1-crop, wheat fallow. Then you started integrating other things. What was kind of the progression of things that you tried, and what looked promising, what didn't? What kind of happened along the way there?
So we went from wheat, sorghum, fallow to when we came back from Dakota Lakes, we knew we had to have, we were going to grow a crop every year. So we thought we needed the specific crop rotation.
Yes.
So we came back thinking, okay, we got to have maybe wheat, milo beans, or 2 years of wheat and then milo and beans, or 2 years of wheat and corn. And, we thought, so we were kind of very specific on, we understood.
You were looking for a program kind of thing.
Yeah. You're looking for exactly a recipe,
Right.
And what we found was like the no-till system by itself, it just didn't get us where we wanted to be. We were still having lots of runoff, erosion, and infiltration rates were poor. Organic matters weren't going up. Resistant weeds were coming on. We just thought it was going to be easy. Like Mother Nature is very complex, but she's not complicated. So you kind of learn these things and see things not working. And so then we started implementing cover crops into the system, like to fill these gaps. Like say we harvest wheat in June, and then you chemically try to control the weeds for basically a full year until you plant milo. And it just didn't work. Mother Nature's going to win that battle. And she did it. So I guess I've been willing to learn and to change enough, and you'll observe these things and say, okay, this isn't working. What do we got to do to fix this? So we started implementing cover crops, and then even with cover crops, we still weren't getting where we wanted to be. So it was about 2013 or 2014, and again, I was coming out of tough financial times, and I was like, I'm just going to do what nature did. Like, what did God intend for this land to be? How were these soils built? And they were built with perennial systems and grazing animals, maybe occasional fire and drought and floods or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And how can we build a system that uses that, rapidly increase our soil health? Those were my thoughts then. And how can you design a system like that and still be profitable? Okay, because we got to be profitable and make, the food on the table. And what I've since learned is we're never going to get back to what it was with the native prairie. Like we spent 120 years degrading these soils, and it's not going to, in my lifetime, we're not going to get back. So I always say humans are the ultimate invasive species, and we've changed things. So now what's in front of us? So a lot of the stuff we plant today, there's natives in there, but we also plant some stuff that maybe aren't natives because we need revenue right away. And then we just let it evolve over time. But there's that realization that we're never going to get back to nature. But if we do what nature did, then we're certainly, I think, going to fight less. And annual cropping, you wake up every day and it's like, what am I going to kill today? Like every day, weeds and bugs and pests. And like this system, we plant it, like on the perennials, we planted and, now we just manage our grazing.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's our only input. So.
Yeah. Walt Davis wrote a lot about that kind of stuff. And, the idea that agriculture is killing everything is kind of antithetical to what we're really trying to do, right? Which is get stuff to grow. So
exactly.
Right.
How do we nurture life?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then that nurtures your life as well. It's very healing for us and, as a family to get away from that model. We still do some of the other model, and it's very depressing. So.
Right. So I want to just review up to this point because you've made a couple of big transitions here. The first, right, is this crop fallow pattern. And then you went to the multiple cash crops, but still with not a year-long fallow period, but a season, a couple seasons long. And then from there, when you talk about cover crops, you're not talking about letting it sit fallow and then planting it. I mean, you're harvesting it and then planting right back into the residue, right?
Yeah, that was what we went to. We would we would harvest our wheat crop, we would implement a cover crop right immediately following. So this would have been in like 2008-ish, somewhere in there when we started this, like through 2012. We were doing some livestock integration, some we weren't. So we were really struggling with how do we design cover crops that don't affect our following cash crop? Because in our climate, that can be a problem.
Yeah. And some of those years you mentioned were horrible drought, right? 11, 12?
Yeah, 11, 12,
Yeah,
13 for us was bad. Yeah.
Okay. Because you kind of caught both the South Plains drought that really started in, was it late 10 and really hit in 11? And then in the West, we had a terrible drought in 12. And you caught kind of all sides of that, right?
Yeah. And then you guys were in a drought in was it 18, 19-ish? And then we started the drought in 21 to still in it, I think.
And now?
Yeah, we're still in it. So
Yeah, interesting. Okay. But there's still more coming because this next transition, when you really start integrating livestock, there's a transition there in my mind from like a cash crop, cover crop alternating system to then going to what I think of now as a real forage crop, right? Where you may not even have a cash crop in your quote unquote rotation, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of where we're at today. I was just looking at my kind of grazing plan this morning. Like I have a spreadsheet with all our fields and acres and animal units I think I'm going to get. So today we know we have X number of animal units. How do I design a system that I'm going to be able to carry those animal units? So today, a lot of the cropland, we don't grow grain crops on at all. It's just how can we produce enough forage to carry animal units or bring in more animal units if we have excess?
Yeah. Now, if markets change, can you go back towards cash crops more?
Yeah, totally. That's what we're trying to build a system that's flexible. And even this year, I had a field that was slated to go to cover crops, and it was some grazed out triticale, and we got a lot of rain here in the last 30 days, and we started growing plenty of forage, or looked like we're going to anyway. So I just switched and I just seeded a milo crop into that, and it's a low input milo crop, but we'll still be able to utilize the stalks for grazing and have a low input milo crop in there, so we don't have to have a ton of yield on it to break even. So stuff like that, we can easily change, what we're doing. So.
And you mentioned a piece there. We talked about this a little in another podcast that you and I recorded, and I don't want to necessarily go over all those tracks again, but I do want to touch on it, that there are parts of the country where adding cover crops and grazing can actually increase your cash crop yields. You're in a low enough moisture area with no irrigation that when you do integrate cover crops and grazing, it usually decreases your cash crop yield, but the net effect is generally positive, correct?
Correct. On the cover crops that we're growing, we know we're going to graze. We typically always see it. I'm not going to say always, but we typically see a yield loss.
Yeah. Okay.
Following, if we do a cash crop following. Once in a while, it'll be even, but most of the time, we're going to take a yield loss on it.
But increasing the number of crops of whether it's livestock or cash crops sort of increases the total profit because you're getting more production per unit time, basically.
Yeah, our net profit per acre is significantly higher.
Yeah.
We're significantly reducing costs.
Yeah.
Significantly reducing cash flow out the door and the more net profit.
Okay. And then adding income from the cattle too, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, great. Okay, so your dad dies in 2018, you said?
Yep.
Sorry to hear that. That's a hard time.
Yep.
What did that transition look like? You have siblings, correct?
Yeah, I have a brother and a sister, neither involved with the farm.
Okay.
So at this time.
And that was all fairly clear before your father passed, or how did that work out around that time?
Yeah, they had it set up and sat down and talked to us about what was going to happen. Yep.
Yeah. We even had a big family meeting. I mean, brother and sister were there with the families, and so everybody had a chance to talk and hear what the plan was, So I thought that was very good and positive.
Excellent. Yeah, and that's another great legacy your family has left, right? Where they, not only was your dad willing to change and try new things, but there are a lot of people that don't want to have those conversations, before they die.
Yep.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't look forward to that at all, but
Yeah.
it's tougher when you don't. That's the problem, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Or can be. Yeah. All right, so we're in drought in 18-ish, 19-ish. You've kind of converted more to this forage type system. What changes have you been making since you've been in that? Because my understanding is you're kind of still you've evolved in that system, but you're kind of still in the same basic idea now, right?
Yeah, pretty much today. So we went to Ranching for Profit in 2017.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mandy has since been back again, but yeah, I went through, and maybe I said that before too, holistic management. I've been through all those deals through the years, and then it was just after Ranching for Profit, my dad's health was declining, and then that's when we just said, you know what, we're making a huge swing and trying something different. So
Yeah.
and that's, I don't know, it's just really changed my mindset, and we kind of came from there. We went through that ICA process with Alan Crockett was our instructor, and Mandy and I did that. So we actually had a goal.
Yeah, that's
we went
awesome.
there, and I got it on my phone, and I still read it to this day.
Yeah, fantastic. And you both went, so you didn't have to come home and translate.
Right.
You were both there, saw the whole thing.
I can't even imagine not going together and having to try to explain that. Because we came home and we talked to your dad too, and we tried to pass some information on Ranching for Profit. And I mean, he was interested in learning. You just can't gather that if you haven't been there together.
Yep. It's a 7-day class taught by professionals, and they're really good at it.
I work in the evening. I mean, we had a great time with our crew there. But we came home and we were just really inspired. And so we just decided we wanted to make a change. And yeah, and I was like the supporter. Kevin did it all.
Well, I mean, so many people go to these meetings and they come home and they don't do anything, which I did myself through the years. But for whatever reason, at that time in my life, I was like, okay, I'm ready to make a change,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just information unless you use it.
Yeah. Well, and even if Mandy's not necessarily the implementer, you're still supporting each other as you're going.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I believe in all of it. It's like I enjoy learning about it, hearing about it. I enjoy, working out here, moving cattle. It's a big part of our life, and I actually cannot even imagine where we would be at. I'm thinking before we went there to now, and it's like if we were still doing some good stuff then, but it feels like it kind of, it's just exploded, and that's like, this is what we do now. Like, this is how we want the soil to grow good. We want our cattle to grow good. We want a little less stress and more peacefulness about it. So
now Mandy and the kids, they just want me to plant it all back to perennials. So I always have this pressure from them, like, well, let's just do it on all of it. So
it's
so I wonder why we don't. So
I know
farmer genes are just a little strong for that part, huh? Wait a minute.
It is so true. Because we still have the tough conversations as far as, what's happening now in the grains. And and he's like, well, I think I'm just going to switch this field. And I'm like, good, switch all of it. Like, let's just.
Why not the next one too while you're out?
Yeah.
Well, but this is something I'm sure you've learned a bunch about this, but the switch to perennials is not as simple as one thinks. And you mentioned the 120 years of history. It has impressed me over and over again as I've tried to plant perennials in different places and watched other people do it, that is not a home run. And I don't know what your experience has been doing it, but I at one time listened to Gabe and a couple of other people talk about the multi-year preparation process they were thinking about before going to perennials. And man, it made a ton of sense when they said it, because I'd seen a bunch of those spots where I was like, it just didn't seem like it worked. So have you seen that same type of thing?
Yeah, we've had really good, good results, but we also kind of had that foresight to, like, typically today we'll plant full season cover crops for a couple of years, manage our grazing on it, just to, it helps heal the soil, gets the biology going in the soil, prep that for that perennial. So we just seeded one field back, so I made it my favorite mix here this spring, and And actually, I was across it today. It looks good, and picked some flowers on it and gave it to my mom. And, it's like, so now, and you need some help with Mother Nature too. But yeah, now it seems like we have a system in place so we can, and we got to have help from Mother Nature, but, we got to have a rainfall get it going. But can be a transition period, especially if we're doing more native stuff to maybe we don't get a ton of revenue for a couple years. So maybe you're not going to do the whole farm at one time.
Right. Well, that's a huge part of it, right?
I think that's a lot of it too, is just like right now, it's like, I mean, we've done a lot of it and we could go more, but you also gradually, you gradually converted over a couple of years, or not, a few years, but you do a field at a time or 2 fields at a time. And that's, and then maybe put the cash crop back in there. So it's, even when we decided, we're going to do this, it wasn't like, full blown 100%. It was a plan over several years to implement.
Yeah.
So
we started out like with the perennial system, we started out just taking small fields. Like, again, this is farm country. What couldn't be farmed is there's pastures, and so we would have a quarter section with, 80 acres of pasture and 80 acres of crop ground or so. That's where I started. And then since then, like we just planted another 80 this winter. So I like to say, you don't want to do it all in 1 year because there is some significant risk for a couple of years. So now you just kind of absorb that loss of revenue on 80 acres or, quarter section a year with something else. So
yeah, and you've got enough income off the rest that you're okay. And if you have a terrible drought or some type of weather event that doesn't make it work, then you have a whole farm on it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So I guess you asked today how's Shady. So now I'm learning so much we got all these things about just grazing. Like I've learned a lot from a lot of smart people. So now it's just observing this grazing management and the forage and these perennials and your natives, like how they respond and going through droughts and not droughts. And for me, I don't know, the last few years, I've learned a ton on, like, we let a pasture, it was perennial, well, half perennial, half native. We let it rest for the entire last year because we didn't need it. We just didn't need it. And so this year we're grazing that first, and we're in the hottest, driest spring we've ever had here. Like, it is dry. So we're just about to finish that quarter section now, and we're going to get double our grazing days off of that quarter section than we are off stuff we grazed last year. So it's just that observation of like, okay, so I had the mindset, well, we got to graze everything at least once every year. Maybe that's not the case. So now we're trying to figure in how can we rest pastures or paddocks for a full season. So,
yeah, I love it. And last summer for you guys was a pretty good year, was it not? You had a pretty good growing season last year?
We were super dry in the spring again, and we had some rain in June to get stuff going. And then we were really dry through July and August. And then starting the 1st of September through November, we were really wet. And then it shut off again until Memorial Weekend. So
yeah. All right. Okay. Because last summer some parts of Kansas were good, and I thought you guys were in the good band.
We're in a zone that wasn't very good, but that's one thing we've learned is like, we go through these droughts, but then we get these rains, and like that's one cool thing with the system we built was we always have something out there to take advantage of it and grow some forage, and it's really taken a lot of pressure off of us, I guess. So
yeah. Well, and I've played with that full year rest. Now, obviously, our country is much slower to recover than yours, but we've played with that multiple times. And every time we do it, unless nothing grows in a particular year, but any other time than that, it has tremendous benefits. And you don't necessarily need to do it on every pasture. But
exactly, yeah.
If you can do it on a percentage of your pastures every year, it's amazing how you always have stuff to go to early season.
Yeah.
There's something there. So
yeah, I continually to learn about grazing management, and I don't know, we just try a lot of things every year, I guess, and see what works and doesn't work. So
every time you talk about learning something, you start to smile, Kevin. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, it's fun.
Just makes you grin, huh?
Yeah.
That's good.
He's got that brain that just kind of soaks it up and wants to learn, and like you said, I just think that's so key to not just be stuck where you're at, or especially if you're frustrated where you're at. It's one thing to be content and happy. But
that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're not feeling that, then start learning. There's so much out there now. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
All the people out there that are, trying these new things and really trying to understand how much better, we could do on all of this.
And that's hard to, like, in your local community, that might be hard for some producers because it's, I'm the only one doing this.
Good. And this is exactly what I was going to ask next. So that's, what do your neighbors think of this program?
So Mandy's been obviously supportive, and the kids, they all get it and understand what we're doing. And so we've had to go outside of our county to find peers and mentors to work with, outside across the country, really, and find people that have been successful at it, that are implementing it for support and for learning. So
I love it. Well, and that's a big part. And boy, don't we have wonderful opportunities now to be able to connect with people in a lot of different parts of the country and parts of the world. I mean, our ability to communicate with like-minded fellows is just, I don't think it's ever been better than it is now, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking, it's out there. So,
oh, yeah. So what else do we need to cover? So the story you told basically was you started in one place, your parents were super agreeable, everything was easy, and this has just worked out like magic. Right?
Yeah.
You found the recipe, and now you're going to follow it
maybe
forever.
into like marriage counseling now. What? I mean, it's obviously never just simple and perfect. Or
we've had a lot of failures.
We have, yes,
we had a lot of tough times. But,
yes,
but we're happy now. So
for sure,
I tell you that goal that we wrote down from Ranching for Profit, like, I read that still today, and it's like, it makes you, when you make decisions, you look at that goal and and does this decision help me get to that goal? And it, for me, has been very helpful along the way. And I still look at that and read it, and I can look back, and it just makes you feel better about what you've done. And it's like, we're getting there. It's always a process, but we're definitely getting there. So
yeah. Oh, that's so fun.
And so much of that comes down to decisions that are made. And so when he talks about, when we're trying to make a decision, if you look at that goal and does it get us closer to that goal? If you can sit down and take the time, to create that goal for your family, for your life, then when you do make the decision, even if it's a failure at the end, you made it for the right reasons. Like, you made it because that's what our goal was. And so that's, we are going to try this. And so, we've had lots of times where financially and just stress wise, the physical stress on everything, there's a lot there too. That, after you make those decisions and then we're at the point we're at right now, I mean, we want to keep learning, but it does feel, I really wasn't expecting this today, to look back and be like, oh yeah, I mean, it was stressful at the time. There was lots of stressful years where now it feels like, okay, we made the right decisions and we feel good about what we're doing.
That's really wonderful.
Okay,
well, go ahead.
It's still busy.
Yeah, it's still busy. It's still hectic.
Yeah.
All this time we spent with the kids chasing them around, and then they're gone, and now we just work, and so it's still busy.
No kids to come home and play with at the end of the day.
Yeah, I don't know how we had time to do all that. So
it's true. We joked the other night. We're like, well, we used to have to at least stop and go to ball games, and
right.
we enjoyed that. And now we're like, I guess we can just keep working.
It's funny. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you guys being able to share this. As you know, this series is, kind of designed to help people that are in the middle of the struggles like you guys have been and want to know if it's all worth it. And I think, yes, things are still hectic. Things are still busy. There's lots to do. There's lots of learning still. But, what you guys are basically saying is that when there's a purpose and when you have an objective in mind and you're moving towards that over the course of decades, it's very satisfying, right? I mean, that's the stuff that you look back on and just think, man, this is wonderful. But boy, it's not easy at the time, right? It's a struggle.
Nothing is easy. I mean, life is hard.
It's just hard. Yeah.
It is. Life is hard.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thanks for having us, John.
Well, I'm thrilled. Thank you, guys. I look forward to seeing more. Kevin, you do some work on YouTube, correct? And
Well,
on social media?
I don't do anything on social media or YouTube, but there is stuff out there.
Okay, you don't do it. I got you.
I'm anti-technology, but I've spoken at several conferences and stuff. So there are some recordings.
And those things are available online.
Some of that stuff's out there, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. Well, thank you, guys. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. This has been a lot of fun, and look forward to hearing what the next decade brings. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
All right, you bet. Thanks for tuning in to Ranchonomics Stories. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please share it with a friend or family member who you think would find it helpful too. Be sure to subscribe and follow the show so you don't miss next week's story.